Hi, I'm Chris Moyer with Z-Prime Research. At Z-Prime, much of our work in 2019 will focus on the water energy nexus. Providing sustainable water and power to society is one of the great challenges that we face in the 21st century. The digital transformation is empowering utilities and their customers to better tackle these challenges. To talk about this with me today, I'm joined by Thomas Kuczynski, the Chief Information Officer at DC Water. Thomas, thank you so much for being here.
Great to be here, Chris.
So, DC Water's mission is to provide safe, sustainable, and environmentally friendly water to your customers. Can you talk to me a little bit about how the digital transformation, new technology, cloud computing, IoT is impacting your ability to carry out that mission?
So the first thing is, we've got 1,900 miles of distribution pipe for water distribution. We've got 1,600 miles of collection system pipe for collecting wastewater and then subsequently processing it at our Blue Plains facility. Our Blue Plains facility is the largest advanced wastewater treatment facility in the world. We do about, on average, 300 million gallons per day. Treatment at the plant. We have the capacity to do almost 1 billion if we had to. But the reality is we don't know a lot about the system itself, the distribution system and the collection system. We monitor specific portions of that system for performance, like our pump stations and various facilities that either distribute water or collect wastewater and route it to the plant. But we don't have a deep enough understanding of how the system actually operates in normal condition to be able to better predict how it operates in extreme conditions. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that's dramatically changed over the last few years, and people talk about global warming and the like, and whether you believe it or not, the reality is that if you look at the weather patterns in the District of Columbia, we don't see these average rainfalls that are covering a large area but are generally mild in intensity. What we're seeing are these microbursts now. Mm. We're seeing these large intense storms that come and impact a small area of our collection system and drop huge amounts of water very quickly into the system. And that creates complications, and it creates operating problems for our collection system that actually can result in overflows. And an overflow can either be into the street or into the river. And as a result, those things cause customer service issues. So what we're looking at is the IoT capabilities that are being promoted by some vendors now for things like level sensors in our collection system, flow sensors so we can understand how much volume is moving through the system at any given time. And then we're going to blend that data along with our other operational data and our pipe condition data to develop predictive models that will allow us to, hopefully, by using the weather data, identify potential problem areas before they actually become a problem. So then we can either proactively address deficiencies in the collection system in advance of that storm, or actually have folks on site to respond more quickly than they traditionally would if you got the customer call in the office. So we're hopeful that these technologies will allow us to extend our eyes and ears into our system less expensively than a typical wired solution would allow us to do. It's fairly expensive to wire and operate a pump station. So you can imagine if we wanted to put 100,000 sensors in our collection system to cover our collection system using wired technologies at $1,000 a month, that's prohibitive. But if we've got a low-cost sensor that's able to be used either on a low-ROS system or a Wi-Fi backhaul capability or cellular capability that costs us a couple dollars a month, we can gather more intelligence about the operations, and we can actually make better decisions about how we operate that system and potentially redirect flows or redirect crews to address issues before they really become problems.
I am struck by that and the power of cloud computing to simultaneously improve operational decision making with that better access to data, but then ultimately to drive better outcomes for your customers. And speaking of customers, you've just undergone a customer information system upgrade and transformation over the past 24 months. Can you talk to me a little bit about what were some of the driving business factors that led you to undergo that CIS implementation?
Well, again, I think, as you mentioned earlier, most of our projects are designed to drive a better customer experience. Even though they contribute operationally to the improvement of the operations and reduce costs, at the end of the day, the whole driver is the customer experience. Whether that experience is reducing my bill or improving the experience that I have if I call a call center, and in many cases, avoiding that call to begin with, because that's the cheapest alternative, right?
Right.
It may be cheaper for me to provide services online rather than with a live operator, but it's actually almost zero if I provide that service directly to the customer by avoiding that call to begin with, or avoiding that contact to begin with. But creating an experience that still gives them information, or even more information than they traditionally would have had in the past had they had to call me on the phone. Our whole customer system change was designed to change that experience with the customer. First, to make that experience consistent across the delivery channels that we have today, but also in anticipation of integrating more delivery channels into the future. Sure. If you think about it, we often talk about culture internally, but you've got an external culture out there with your customer base that's more diverse than your internal culture. You have people that are very comfortable with technology. You have people that are not comfortable with technology at all and would prefer to still talk to somebody on the phone. We need to be able to deliver those services through those channels consistently, whether it's your preference to call me or whether it's your preference to interact with me on a mobile cell phone. But in order to do that, you need a robust back end that's not only able to collect and evaluate that information, but also make sure that the transition from one channel to another is the same, and the information that's collected from those channels is the same, so that when the customer service agent and/or somebody internally ultimately has to deal with that information, they have the same information irrespective of where it was originating from.
That's such an important point. That omni-channel experience is crucial for customers of today. Too often we're talking about what the customer of the future looks like. That customer is now, and so delivering the right information at the right time to the right person, regardless of the channel, I think is what you're endeavoring to do and what you now will be able to do much more effectively. One of the things that we've been talking about in this idea of digital transformation, customer centricity, is the growing importance of the water-energy nexus in terms of long-term environmental health, sustainability, and being able to deliver water safely, effectively, and energy safely and effectively to customers. Can you talk to me a little bit about DC Water's perspective on some of the projects that you're working on in this space?
So on the DC Water side, we are the largest consumer of electricity in the District of Columbia. And we use about 33 megawatts of power. Mm-hmm. At our facilities that are spread across the district. Conversely, the energy companies use a tremendous amount of water, whether it's for cooling or other